Thank you, and welcome to this portion of the Loving Our Minds event. We are coming at you from the Center for Media Innovation at Point Park University. I'm Claire Lindsay with the Unabridged Press All Abilities Media Project, and I am here with a very talented artist right next to me. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Madison Gasper. I'm 19 years old, and I'm currently at my second year of college in Point Park.
The reason why I became an artist was actually very odd in the sense because my aunt on my father's side, she was an artist. And so for some reason I got that in my head as a kid, like, oh, that's passed on genetically.
Okay.
So I just kept doing all that. And eventually, like, maybe I did inherently have that creative talent, or maybe I just developed it over the years. I do a lot of different things. I'd say probably painting and sculpture making would probably be the top ones I work with, but I work with a wide variety of media.
I feel like a lot of people with mental illness often have this like creative side to them, just from what I've seen, mostly just because they have to view the world in a different way than like neurotypical people might.
I'm medicated and I've been to like a bunch of different people, but I don't think anyone's ever particularly said, yes, you have this. Like, I don't think it's like on my records or anything, but I've definitely had the doctors look at me and be like, yeah, you're severely depressed. So
When did you starting to incorporate like your emotions and kind of the mental side of things into your art, or has that always been a theme?
I'd say it subconsciously has always been a theme, but it definitely has been more whenever I started getting into like self-portrayals, because that's whenever you really have to look in and be like, how would I like to portray myself, and like how do I feel about portraying myself?
There's like a lot of different ways you can express emotion in art. Obviously, it's through like color and different factors. I try to use themes that are associated with those like emotions and whatnot in real life. So like, I don't know, like let's say if I was trying to portray like a more violent emotion, then I might use maybe like blood elements or like fleshy elements and whatnot, as it's like, because you associate like blood and gore and all that stuff, you associate it with the violence and like that kind of destruction of the self, you know. So being able to incorporate factors like gore into my work, which I kind of do put gore a lot into my work, I mostly use that as a main factor in getting apart emotions and whatnot, especially in terms of like dealing with trauma or whatnot, because a lot of the times those feelings can make you feel very shattered and torn apart. And especially strong emotions like anger or sadness and heartbreak, like, you know, it's literally described as it feels like your chest is in so much pain, like your heart's just going to maybe explode out of your chest, and just all these other factors. And so I like to kind of exaggerate the bodily influences of that, you know.
It definitely comes as a relief, I guess, being able to get out those feelings instead of expressing them physically or anything. It's just an outlet to be able to put those stressors out, and art really allows you to be able to explore those things like aggression, violence, gore.
It really allows you to express those more freely. And then so I think it's definitely feels like a privilege, I guess, like, you know, being able to have that freedom to artistically express myself. With the portraits I was talking about, I do remember the very first one I made. It was on a night whenever my mother, she got arrested again for like drug related issues, and before I found out, I was about to start painting on this canvas, and whenever I did find out, I had it painted black, and I left it like that. And it took me, I think, good couple of days to get back to that, and I didn't want to leave the canvas black, so I just sat down and I just started whipping out a self-portrait, you know. I just kind of was just reflecting on myself in that sense, and I just thought right now I would like to make a portrait of myself at this time, because this time feels like a pinpoint in my life, you know. And so at the time, I was struggling really bad with OCD, like, and the OCD was related to like religious imagery. You don't see my face in it, but I have a mask on. The mask, it was a one that I created in one of my art classes, because we made plaster masks. And basically what it is, it was like a biblically accurate depiction of an angel, so basically just eyeballs, wings, you know, all that. And so I just had it covering my face because it just felt like at the time I was just surrounded by like all this pain and the high anxiety and stress that I had from OCD that I wasn't managing very well at the time because I didn't even really know what it was. And then so just in making that portrait and then just being able to step back and look at it, I really did feel that relief of just seeing how I felt at the time. And I don't know how it's just being able to pour those things I'm feeling onto the canvas, you know? And so I did kind of just whip out the painting, and then I went back, just touched up technical things because I was like, oh, this is pretty good. I think I'd like to show people, you know?
Yeah.
But I just continued to do that over the years with self-portraits, where it's like, if I feel these feelings building up in me, then I just have to sit down and think and be like, okay, how do I feel right now at this age, you know? Because I do it per year, whatever age I am. Sometimes I make multiple portraits per year for whatever age I am at the time. And so I just have to sit there and be like, how am I, and how is my life, and how is my mental illness at age 17, you know? And so I make that into a portrait, and then it's really nice because I can also look back at it years later at this point of my life, like especially becoming an adult and coming down here for college on my own. It's just been really chaotic and not necessarily like all formed together like a portrait, you know, per se, like an actual representation of a face and everything. Like, it's not all packed together so neatly like that anymore. And so even though things are more chaotic and whatnot, being able to just put that chaos into something more comprehensible on a canvas just reminds me of the same thing I've been doing every single time I make a portrait. It's just a little different now, you know? Me and my mother, like, you know, are on good terms. She has her own place, has her own car, has her own job now. She's been clean for well over a year now, actually. And
Wow.
and so I don't know. It's like, even though there was all these bad things in my past and I'm still processing them through my art and all these other factors in my life, there is still good at the end of the tunnel, you know? And I think if my mother can become sober and clean up her life at, I think, the age of 46, then I really can just always see a future, you know? Because I think no matter how late it gets in my life, there's always room for change. And so even though I've had these issues and these problems with my family and my mother in the past, I think it's she's just really inspiring to me, honestly, you know, and I think she's one of the strongest people I've ever met. And then so if I ever am in these low points, I just think, okay, if my mother can get through it, then I can too, because I have some of her genetics in me. So.
Right.
Yeah.